and we can give it a second.
Okay.
Good to go?
Yep. Good to go.
All right. Well, um, Mary, I appreciate you taking some of your time to talk with me. Yeah, I just want to say that, obviously this is being recorded, and I just really just want to sort of talk to you and listen and kind of understand what's going on uh, with
Mhm.
everything right now. And I have to ask, did you write this letter that I've been told about?
I did not write the letter. And actually, thank you for meeting with me as well.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I did not write the letter.
Okay. Um, yeah, and I that makes sense to me. And I never thought that there was anything happened between us. But is there? I mean, do you have any idea? Like, are you familiar with the letter at all, or did you talk to anybody about, maybe make any comments that could have been construed by somebody else or anything like that?
So yeah, I talked with a friend of mine at the firm. I'm not going to say who it is, protect him. Um, but yeah, I mean, I talked about it because this situation like made me really uncomfortable, and like I just needed someone who would understand and you know help me out.
So I apologize for, I mean, anything that made you uncomfortable, and I want to understand, yeah, kind of the situation, because it really was never my intention. And I don't know if it'd be helpful to sort of hear my perception on it, but I mean, if you wouldn't mind, I'd really like to hear sort of, what you experienced. And again, I apologize for any discomfort, but sort of maybe how you perceive the situation. I just want to understand.
Yeah. So like my side of the story. So, I like I'd stay late and I'd work, and like it was like no big deal. And then you'd come by and like we'd chit chat a little bit and then you'd ask me to dinner. But I mean like it was just you and I, and it's late at night. I mean like you kind of have to understand like the implications of asking a lady to dinner late at night, just the two of us. I mean, even if it is like at work, like it's still a little weird and it made me kind of uncomfortable. The first time I was like, okay, whatever, no big deal. But then I mean it happened like four or five more times. And I was like, okay, this is an issue. And then I got, it was making me uncomfortable and yeah.
And when you told me that it was making you uncomfortable, I completely stopped. That was never my intention. And
Hmm.
you know, I, and I completely understand. And I don't know if there's anything that's happened in the past. I know that this is an issue, especially for women in the workplace, especially in an industry like the law. And from if I could just give you my perspective, if that would be okay.
Absolutely.
Um, you know, over the years, over my career and over the years there, I have had lots of platonic friends, male and female. And like the restaurant that I suggested is one that everyone from the law firm goes to, that I've been to, I go to all the time with other partners and associates. And so I saw it as sort of a just a professional thing. And honestly, I see a lot of myself in you. When I was a young lawyer, I think you're really bright. I know you can be, maybe a little bit shy sometimes, but just have a great legal mind. And I'm sorry that I might have been a little persistent. And to give you some context of what's sort of what's going on in my head right now. Um, over the last couple of years, um, I've been having a lot of issues at home. And the thing is that, I love my wife, but to be honest with you, she has a problem with alcohol. And I saw what it was doing, and that, that at a certain point I was just enabling her. And so I told her, if you wouldn't, I need you to take this seriously, to go to a program to get rehabilitated. And she refused to do so. And so I decided to leave. And I mean, she's the love of my life, but to have to walk away from that, and to try to have to explain to my kids, why I have to do this, and that I'm the one who's doing this. I'm the bad guy, and a colleague of ours, um, Anne Weathers, who was, or no, sorry, Anne, who was my secretary, actually, she was going through some troubles at the same time. And, we spent a lot of time together. We would get dinner a lot. It was never anything. And actually, she was able to save her marriage based on a lot of the conversations and confiding that we were able to do with each other. And, at the end of all of that, I helped her get a new job, even though it meant that she wouldn't be spending any more time with me, but because I knew that it would be good for her career. And
Hmm.
I say that because again, there's nothing in my heart, but trying to, to look out for people. And I admit that I'm really in a lonely place. I'm in a
Yeah.
terrible place personally. And, that's why I'm at the office late so much is I go home to an apartment and my kids and my wife aren't there. And I'm sorry that clouded my judgment and that I might have been a little bit persistent, but you can talk to Ann, or yeah, you can talk to Anne if you'd like. You can talk to anyone at the firm who's known me all these years. I've never, and again, I understand why you would feel that, and I know it's a problem, and that's my fault for not, keeping that awareness, but that's what was going on with me. And I apologize for making you uncomfortable. That was never what I wanted. That's not what I want for anybody. And
Yeah.
if you could find it, if you think that you'd be able to go and speak with that person, I mean, on top of all of this, to be accused of these types of things, it just,
Yeah.
yeah, this is all I have right
Yeah. Um, and I get it. Like, well, kind of. I mean, I'm not married and all that, but I mean, your story. See how everyone at the firm sees it is that you were having an affair with the secretary, and then she moved to a different floor, and then you moved on to a paralegal from a different firm, and so like you have this reputation of being a womanizer, um, but I mean, I guess like no one at the firm really knows what's happening with you at home. So that, yeah, so I mean, you coming to me late at night when we're both working, I mean like,
hmm
you know, I mean knowing that you have this reputation, it's like, yeah, it's a little odd, you know.
and that's honestly really surprising for me to hear that. And yeah, somebody can ask me directly, they can ask Anne, they can ask my family if they need to. But I also think it's a little bit unfair to assume that something on the surface about my life that is deeply personal, just to assume that I must be objectifying or womanizing,
Hmm.
when, just because we're of the opposite sex and we spent time together, when in fact we were helping each other in the most, the most honest way possible, you know, and,
Yeah.
and I just, that you can see how that looks too, the assumptions being
Right.
made. That's just as, that's just as based on my sex as anything else, honestly.
Right. Um, yeah, so which kind of brings us to so a lot of the junior partners got laid off. So I was wondering why I got laid off, because I mean like, not to like toot my own horn, but you did just say like, I'm a bright lawyer, like I've
hmm
got like a lot going on, I work hard, and you
hmm
see me working late, and so I just want to know like what happened, you know?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, it's a group decision, right? There's 9 of us on this employment or hiring staffing committee, and ultimately, what it came down to was that you had the least amount of experience in our department. All of the performance reviews, between yourself and the rest of the other associates, theirs were all comparable or slightly better than yours, and so given the equal or slightly better performance plus more experience, it's a very common practice during layoffs in every company in every industry: last one in, first one out, based on that experience. And that's something that the committee as a group decided in a very, let's say one,
Mm-hmm.
it was not it was not a close vote. Let's put it that way. This is something across all of us, all the partners who were part of that committee, based on these objective material metrics and facts. That's, nobody wants to see that happen.
Right.
I've been fired from a job before, long
Mhm.
time ago. It doesn't feel good. Um, and it has nothing to do with you making
It
any
has,
mistakes or anything like that. It was based on the experience and equal performance reviews, or slightly better performance reviews, and having that least amount of experience.
and it has, so I just want to make it clear. So it has nothing to do with like the situation with you asking me to dinner and all of that. It has nothing to do with that.
Absolutely not.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to, like, make sure that this wasn't like a sexual harassment kind of thing, or like,
No,
like I'm denying you and then you're like, you know what? Let's kick her out, like that kind of a deal.
no, no,
Okay.
absolutely not.
Okay. And I thank you for, like telling me why I was laid off, and, like, and being honest with me. I appreciate that. And I can learn from that, and, work harder here in the future.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
Well, so given sort of given where this is, do you feel like the article that wasn't written by you but was written by somebody else, do you feel like that's accurate? Do you feel like,
I mean, now knowing your side of the story and like what's happening with you at home, I mean, like I understand more, and like I think maybe we should try to see if we can take that paper, like taken out, like that article taken out of that paper. Or I think it would actually be even better if you came out with a statement saying, like, hey, Anna and I are just friends. Like we were helping each other with some home situations, not going into details to like respect your privacy and all that. Um, but, just coming out and saying that, like coming out with a statement, so that everybody at our firm understands what's happening and in the article with that too.
I uh, yeah, I think that could be useful to some degree. But I I don't want this to be something where I'm like defending myself against assumptions that are being made, and you know, would you feel comfortable? You said, trying to find a way to get this taken out of the paper. What are you willing to speak with the person who you spoke with originally? Do you feel comfortable still being the catalyst for this article to be written out, to the point where you would, you know, be willing to
Um,
talk to that person?
so yeah, so I'll talk to that person. I'll talk to them and see if we can take that article out of that paper before it's too late. But I mean, I think it would be like in your best interest to, like say something to the firm about your reputation, because it's not just me and it's not just my friend here at the firm, but I mean, it's a lot of people who see you having this reputation.
And no, it's interesting too, because I've never received any type of complaint or information from HR or from anyone.
So,
Um,
in the pamphlet that's given out on the first day to, I mean, I think it's to everyone, for like what to do when you're a victim of harassment, the first thing that it says is do nothing. Like that's one of your options. The number one is do nothing. And like, that's pretty, I think that should be maybe like lower on the list, just so that it doesn't look like, this pamphlet's trying to tell you, hey, don't do anything, don't say anything, you know?
So I haven't seen that. I mean, I'm, looking at the copy of our policy. What it says to me here is that, the policy provides that victims of harassment should voice their concerns to their immediate supervisor, to Karen Theodoro, the director of personnel, or Alan Levin, a partner in the trust and estates department. But that is absolutely not something that, I mean, do nothing. That's horrible that that says that.
Yeah, so yeah, it says do nothing, talk directly with the person who's disturbing them. So like I'm glad so like that's what we're doing. We're talking directly with each other. Asking personnel administrator,
Mhm.
or talk with that person, requesting mediation, filling out a complaint or bringing a lawsuit. And like no thank you. I don't want to go through all of that honestly,
Mhm.
and I'm sure you don't want to go through all of that either.
Are they bullet points, or are they actually numbered like first, or like one,
No,
two,
they're
three?
they're bullet points.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, well, maybe this is an opportunity then to make things just better generally, because that I don't think that that's right. You know,
And
um,
I agree. I mean, so and from what I understand is that you're on the harassment committee?
well, that's not part of the company. That's something that the bar association
Okay.
asked me to be a part of, which again I was told was based on a strong reputation. So I'm like kind of hurt. I feel really shocked to hear that they've heard that I've got this reputation.
Mhm.
Uh, I just don't understand. But
Yeah. So yeah, so I guess at our firm if we can I mean, I know I'm not there anymore, but like so that this doesn't happen again, if you could take out doing nothing, because I don't think that's fair for either party. Because I mean, I did nothing for a while, and I mean, now look at the situation that we're in. You know.
yeah,
Um,
because if you had mentioned, if you had been encouraged in a situation to say like, hey, this is making me uncomfortable. If you had been empowered to do that, yeah, it never would have happened again. Um,
right. Right.
so I would really appreciate you speaking with your friend, because again, I can understand a reputation. I feel like there's some unfairness there, given that there's nothing, no incidents have ever happened, and I need to be more self-aware too. I know part of that is ingrained in us, right? Like
Mhm.
what's appropriate versus not appropriate, and it's not a perfect thing, but I'm being earnest with you when I say that I have a lot going on, and I wasn't thinking in those terms, but maybe that's something that's part of a bigger thing, and that definitely requires some reflection too. If you'd be willing to speak with that person, and then maybe I'm trying to think of how this might be, how this could work. Like,
So,
I go ahead.
sorry.
No, no, go ahead.
I'll talk to my friend. But then if you could also join me in that conversation, just so that like it like to give me some more credibility, so I'm not just like whipping something right like from the blue.
I know that's exactly what I'm thinking. I was trying to think of how to
Okay.
what materially that would look like, but
Hmm.
I definitely think that if I'm willing to make a statement and put myself out there, if and there's some way that we could work together to also get your perspective on this and try to fix not just within our company, but I mean, this is also something that needs to be part of this greater investigation. And if you'd be willing
Right.
to work with me on that, because this is, yeah, I mean, I like to be a private person. It doesn't sound like there's any way that that's gonna happen, but it needs to happen. This needs to happen,
Mhm.
and I'm committed to. I'm willing to commit to join in this conversation with you, so that we can have all sides and explain, and try to make this better. Definitely get that taken out of the do nothing, the arbitration. I mean, this training should be structured in a way that encourages, um,
That encourages people to
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 speak up
talk about it. Yeah, to speak up.
first,
Yeah.
first and foremost. Speak up. always. Don't be talking about mediation or anything like that within the same context of speaking up. Nobody should be afraid to speak up. And I have that same goal with you and same goal as you. I really do. And I'm, I want to be able to work together on that. And that's something that we need to fix.
So, do you think we'll be able to do that in the 2 months that I have to, pack up my things and go while I'm being laid off?
So, I mean, the article is supposed to come out next week, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
I want to make this a priority. I mean, I'm willing to go and talk about this tomorrow because if that article comes out, I mean, set aside my career or anything,
All right.
but my kids have been through enough. Like, this is the only thing that matters to me.
Right. Right.
And I'm committed to doing everything that I need to do tomorrow, with
Okay.
as much urgency as possible, because there's the greater problem, and I need to get this context out there too, and to start to work on this, because it's literally the only thing I have. Like,
Yeah.
I want to fix this. I want to not just to save myself, but make sure this doesn't happen to anybody in any
Yeah.
way.
Right.
Yourself, anyone to be misunderstood. I mean, we just want this to be as empowering of a environment as possible. And yeah, I'm get working on this tomorrow.
Right. So I was just thinking, because the journal's probably going to want like something, right? Because they're going to need something to put into the journal. So what if we like help out, like we tell them our story, like here's the situation that we got into, and then we had to sit down, talk about it, and then yeah, and then we decided to make some changes in the pamphlet, and I mean, like maybe leaving out the part that I got laid off, because that doesn't really look good on the firm or you or me, honestly. And yeah, how does that sound?
Yeah, I think that sounds good. Um, Again, nobody wants to be in the spotlight, especially with everything else, but
Right.
there are a much bigger issues that have allowed this situation to occur, and I think that we have an opportunity to do something about it, and I'm fully behind that.
Okay. Thank you. Like I appreciate that a lot. Yeah. I mean, I feel pretty satisfied with this. How do you feel, sir?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's I'd love for none of this to have happened, to anybody, but
Right.
this is where we are. You know, Sort of originally, I came into this really wanting to know who did and why. I think I have an understanding for why, and I think a lot of it, again, sort of stems from these bigger issues. And I think I'm okay sort of letting go of who wrote this, because again, it's sort of a part of a larger context, and this is where we are now. And this is going to be painful, I think, for me in some ways, but I think in the long term, this is something that my kids will be able to look back on and be proud of. And I appreciate you meeting with me and being open, and I think we have some good work to do.
Me too. And I definitely agree. And I appreciate, you being so open and honest with me, and, like letting me in, and like letting me know here's what's happening behind the scenes, like that took a lot, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know Anne, and Anne's husband. I mean, we're friends. Well, she'll be behind this too. And yeah, so good. This will be good.
Good. Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
All right. I will talk to you soon, Mary.
All right. Thanks.